Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. In the next segment, Leanne McAdoo and Owen Schroyer will be taking over, and they'll be carrying this out through the fourth hour. In the time we got left, I want to take a look at the chains, not the change, but the chains that Barack Obama has been forging. Understand that, for example, in 2015, the Congress passed 87 new laws, but the bureaucrats, the bureaucracy that really is under the executive branch, passed 3,400 rules. It's about 40 times the number of rules as laws. Do you understand? This is legislation without representation. This is a permanent bureaucracy that continues to ramp up these rules. And now we have seen an explosion in the last few days from Barack Obama. Now, many of these organizations, like Bloomberg, will talk about the fact, oh, well, you know, he doesn't have really that many that are that much different in count from George W. Bush or whatever. Well, there's a big difference, not just in the quantity, but there's a bigger difference in the quality of these kinds of regulations. For example, one story from the Wall Street Journal pointed out that a lot of these executive orders in the past have been very mundane. You had an executive order from JFK that talked about the fact that for executive orders themselves, you would have a 1.5-inch margin on the paper. That was an executive order. So that counts as one, okay? And then George W. Bush had an executive order that says, no, it's not going to be a 1.5-inch margin around the edge. We're going to have a 1-inch margin on these printed executive orders. That counts as one for George W. Bush. And yet Barack Obama, in terms of qualitative executive orders, instead of talking about how wide the margin is going to be on the executive orders, he spends his executive orders in a very big way, okay? It's not mundane, but massive, the effects of his executive orders. What he does is he takes over, federalizes land throughout the United States. 3 times the amount of land that's in the state of Texas he has seized illegally, unconstitutionally, by misusing a 1906 law against that was set up monuments. And so he declares essentially the state of Nevada as a monument, or the state of Utah as a monument, and takes over most of the land in those areas. That's what Barack Obama is doing. And then, of course, these executive orders that come through for very disturbing things that have to do with civil liberties. Take a look, for example, as I point out, the number of things that came out of the EPA last week and the Department of Justice involving automobiles. And, of course, it's not only the end of the Obama administration where they're trying to pile these things on, but it's also the same time that one of the biggest auto shows of the world is going on in Detroit. So they seize that moment, and they get big headlines each and every day. And as I said before, I said this last week when I covered it, I said, somebody in the upcoming Department of Justice needs to take a very close look at these bureaucrats who pronounce that they're going to come after Chrysler Fiat for their diesel engines one day and tank that stock by 15%. And then the next day they do it for Renault and tank their stock. Are these guys involved in insider trading? Remember, Nancy Pelosi did exactly that sort of thing. And she was called on it. She said, oh, there's no rule here. There's no rule here. See, just like they're now saying, oh, you know, Donald Trump can't continue to run his own business. Well, there's no rule about that. But he's doing things to try to walk that back ethically. Now, their approach was, when they got caught doing insider trading, they said, there is no controlling legal authority here, you know, kind of quoting Al Gore. And then they set up the Stock Act that was going to stop insider trading. And then when nobody was looking, they eviscerated that act. They waited about 8 or 9 months and eviscerated it. Now, it's not legal for bureaucrats to do this, but I can guarantee you, even though I can't prove it, I can guarantee you that there's some bureaucrats there who are going to be making some golden parachutes by tanking these different companies one day after the other. And just take a look at the difference. They're coming after this one guy, this Volkswagen executive. They want to lock him up for 169 years in prison because he didn't comply with their regulations. Really? Really? That's pretty amazing. Now, when Road and Track reports it, they said, well, he kind of lied to the agency. So did Hillary Clinton. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.